Chuck Woodson, everybody. Thrilled, honored, pumped to have this man here in person on the podcast. He phoned in a couple years ago.
He did.
But here in the flesh is one of the all-time greats at his position and a Michigan man who despises the tuck rule almost as much as I do.
Easy.
Good to see you, Charles Woodson. Good to see you.
Go Blue. Do I have to say anything else?
No, you don't. I think that says everything. Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
I
Thanks
appreciate it.
Always good to be with a Michigan man.
Let me tell you something, Charles. What you have done out of Michigan, you can't say anyone else has really come close on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, Tom Brady on the offensive side of the ball. And you guys, you were on the same team, correct?
Yeah, we came in together.
You came in together?
Yeah, we came in together as freshmen.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it took Tom a little bit longer.
It took
to
a
get
little
out
bit
there.
longer. You know, we had another young guy there, but
Drew
his name
Henson.
was Scott Dreisbach.
Dreisbach was the first one.
When I first came in, it was him and Brian Greasy.
That's right, of course.
And so Dreisbach was the man.
He was the man.
Yeah, he was the man. And he ended up, I think, getting hurt 2 straight years, like kind of leading up, going up in the Ohio State games. And then Brian Greasy would come in and take over. We won both times. And then the third year, our junior year, Brian Greasy won the job, and he led us to the championship. That whole time, Brady was waiting in the wings, you know, hoping and wishing to get in, but that didn't happen. And then his year, the time when it was his turn to come up, Drew Henson comes in, and Drew Henson was the phenom, and they ended up kind of splitting time with him and Brady,
And the NFL has been paying for that ever since.
They've been paying for it.
I mean, because that was forging the fire. I mean, the fire was already burning for him. He talks about all the time about when he was a kid. He was competitive as a child and as an adolescent in high school.
Yeah,
but those years at Michigan was stoking the flames.
Oh, he's been mad at the world ever since. And like you said, the NFL and the opposing defenses and safeties, corners. They've been paying for it ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But do you recall the times? Because I know Tom has talked about how he wanted to leave, how he wanted to transfer. And is it true that Lloyd essentially said, "Well, you know, there's the door. If you don't like it, we would like you to stay. But if this is something that you can't handle, this sort of adversity, there's the door." Is that a true way of looking at it, or is that too harsh?
You know, I can't. I don't know that.
Okay.
I could see Lloyd saying that. That's
right.
That was exactly the kind of coach Lloyd Carr was. I mean, he would have said that. But I don't know if there's any. It could be truth to that. Mm-hmm. That I don't know.
And then the fact that the two, you and Brady, meet in the backfield. He's a Patriot fan. I'm just letting you know this right now.
Why is he in here?
Well, he's an integral part of this program.
Oh, okay.
And and us Michigan people can.
We're tolerable.
We're tolerable and tolerant all at the same time.
Yeah. That's nice of you guys.
Thank you. Yeah. The fact that the two of you meet in a backfield,
right,
in a crucial playoff game, and the tuck rule comes to the fore, and the Patriot dynasty is born.
Right.
Have you talked about this with Tom?
No, we haven't. We've never talked at length about that play.
Why do you think that is? I mean, you've come across, your paths have crossed, correct?
Well, I mean, it obviously worked out for him. So, what am I going to bring to it? I'm still pissed off about it.
I'm sure you
are. Well, if he says, Charles, it was a fumble, then we might have problems.
But he would never say that.
Right.
He would never say that because the rule book says stay, but no longer. What do you think Mr. Davis would have said on the day the tuck rule was rescinded and taken out of the rule book forever? What do you think he would have said?
Oh, he'd still be upset about it. He'd probably be suing the league right now.
Yeah. He had that litigious side.
Oh, yeah.
He'd be suing the league again.
Right. Yes, correct.
Absolutely.
What's going on with you now, Charles? 15 NFL seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still want to play? Let's start with that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so where do things stand on this front with you?
Really nowhere right now. I'm everyone knows I still want to play, and but we haven't really heard from anyone at this point. Really much after visiting San Francisco. I left there And then they ended up signing another safety, a guy from St. Louis, and then they got the young kid in the draft. So that's pretty much out the door. So we had conversations with other teams, but really nobody was willing to bring me in, talk to me or talk about contract or that sort of thing. So
why do you think that is? If you had to put a finger on it here.
I don't know. I think that being 36 for one, I think hurt my shoulder again last year. Missing 10 games. I think that plays into it. But at the same time, why a team wouldn't want me on their roster, that I don't know. So I just kind of, I guess, chalk it up to being 36 and having hurt my shoulder again.
And that's as simple as that. It doesn't matter what you have done in this league before and the person that you have grown into and become. That seems to be a little off, I'll be honest. I'll say it for you.
I think so, too. Because I can play football. I mean, there's no question about that. I can play football. So why you wouldn't want a player that can, add value to your team and pretty much do anything on the field, why you wouldn't want them, that I don't know.
So what do you think is going to have to happen? And a training camp is going to have to arrive? You don't think anything's going to happen between now and mid-July? Is that at least your game plan right now?
Yeah, probably so. I think, a lot of teams will have people in, the mini camps and workouts, in the next couple of months. They'll evaluate guys and make a decision whether or not they want to bring another guy in, a playmaker, a guy that can play football, and then maybe you get a call then. But really, I really have no expectations at this point. I expected, honestly, to be on the team by now, and it didn't happen, so you just got to wait around to see.
How different are you now than when you were first starting out in the league? How if you can just put a finger on how far you've come as a person?
Yeah, long way. I would say probably a typical young NFL guy with a lot of money, and I came into the NFL 4th pick overall and, won the Heisman Trophy, national championship, and I was living on a high, and I came in and I hit the ground running, both playing and off the field, and I think early on, I was just moving way too fast. And I think over time, you grow a little bit, you do a lot of things differently, and, you understand what's important. And, as it relates to the NFL, the older I've gotten, the more I love playing in the NFL. I think when you're young, you kind of take it for granted. And, you're one of the best out there. You're going to play, you're going to be on a team. But you kind of understand the game more as you grow and you see how things work. And so I see things for what they are. And, yeah, man, I think I've changed a great deal.
So you're the defensive rookie of the year, and and you're coming off a Heisman Trophy and a national championship. Those happened 2 years in a row for you. At some point, did reality hit you in the face? Was there a moment that you can peg in time as saying, this is when living too fast or moving too fast, as you put it, was a chicken that came home to roost in a way that affected you and sped the maturation process up?
I think it's kind of a gradual process. I got a DUI 2 years coming out of, I think a year or 2 years coming out of school, and I ended up being in a drug program, and I got in a couple more instances after that, and it was to the point where I almost was about to get suspended. And those kind of things happen to you, and you have to look at yourself and say, wait a minute, what am I doing here? And then I had a couple injuries. My toe was acting up. Then I ended up I broke my shoulder. Then I turned around, I broke my leg. So a lot of things kind of culminated, and you start thinking to yourself, man, something's got to give, something's got to change.
Was there anybody who was mentoring you? Was there anybody as a veteran with a presence in your life at all, or no?
Nah, I mean, really nobody in particular. I think it all falls on you anyway, as a person, what you're going to do. So No, there was nobody I would say that I was sitting down talking to, and what should I do here? What about this or that? It all falls onto yourself.
Then you got to go back to the Midwest.
Then you go back to
find your Midwest roots.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so, what was that like going to Green Bay? Was that because a lot of people thought at the time that really wasn't a first choice spot for you, that you went there because that was one of the only options available to you based on all the things that were happening on and off the field with you. Is that an accurate portrayal of what happened?
That's accurate. I never seen myself going to Green Bay. When I left Oakland, I always thought I'd play in Oakland forever. For one, I never intended leaving, the Raiders. And then my time was up there; it ran its course. And now I'm in free agent, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm gonna have my pick of teams. I'm gonna be one of these sought after free agents. And I remember looking on, television screens and them showing the top free agents going across the ticket board. My name was never up there.
Was not?
No, and I was like, wow, And so I didn't have a bunch of people calling my agent, trying to pick me up. And eventually there was one team calling, and it was Green Bay. And I think at the time they were kind of either between me and LeVar Arrington, or they wanted both me and LeVar Arrington. And he ended up going to New York. And
where he wound up finishing up his career.
He ended up finishing career, yeah.
Right.
And then we talked to Tampa a little bit. I took a visit to Tampa, actually.
Because Gruden was there?
Gruden was there. Bruce Allen was now there, the general manager. And I thought, that's where I'm going.
Right. And
that didn't pan out. So now here I am. The one place I was telling everybody, I'm not going to Green Bay. That's where I'm not going.
Right.
And
what was it about Green Bay that you didn't want to go there?
Other people. I knew nothing about Green Bay.
Other people in the organization or on the team?
You meet players that have played in Green Bay, and you've heard all the stories of Green Bay, not being a place where, a black man wants to go, being a small town. I'm coming from Oakland now. Mm-hmm. It's going to be nothing to do. You hear all of the rhetoric. And so you formulate opinion based on other people's opinion. So
and it wound up not being anything close to the truth.
Oh, not even close.
Because it was a perfect spot for you.
It was a match made in heaven, is what they say.
Because if you were living too fast,
mm-hmm. That's why I needed to
enough
go.
Said, right? Okay,
yeah, no question.
And then if you needed a spot to prove yourself, and they had a quarterback, an all-timer, right? So in the league, if you want to win, you need that.
Got to have it.
And then, again, being a Michigan Wolverine, we all know what it's like playing in a spot like Lambeau. I mean, that's Michigan Stadium has its history as well in front of the rabid Midwestern football fan base.
Right.
And it all worked out well. How quickly did it dawn on you that your preconceived notion wasn't reality, and that you found a right spot? Was it still an adjustment period for you?
Yeah, it was an adjustment period. I would say it almost took me that first year, my first year there. But it took me to meet people in the community. One person that was really a big influence on me. My time there was George Kuntz, old time Raider. Mm-hmm. I'm not Raider, Packer before I got there.
Right.
And he just kept saying, see, Wood, man, give it a chance. Give it a chance. And he knew a lot of people in the community. He started getting me out a little bit and meeting people. And I just met a lot of great people in Green Bay, Milwaukee, and throughout that community. And then once I just started playing football, I was starting to get interceptions again, towards the end of the season. I was like, oh man, this is okay.
This works.
This works.
This essentially works. What was it like for you going through the whole Favre to Aaron Rodgers, I guess transition might be one way to call it.
Right.
But because they were going to veterans in the media, going to veterans, people who've been around, and also people that you could talk to. You were both of those in one combination. I imagine they were visiting your locker quite a bit saying, what's going on here? What was it like for you?
Yeah, everybody wanted to know what's going on, but, as far as Brett Favre and Green Bay and whatever those issues were, those issues were. I mean, I wasn't privy to any of that. I mean, so all we go by is really what we see in the media for the most part.
Sure.
But my take on it was, if at any point Brett Favre says, I'm coming back to the Packers, I don't think there would have been any hesitation. They would have brought him back. He would have been the quarterback.
Locked it in.
Right, and no question. But, but when the season would end, you didn't know what he was going to do. Was he going to retire? Was he coming back? And I think at a point, Packers said, I mean, we got to make a decision. And what Aaron had showed in practice, in my time getting there in 2006, and what I had seen of him, that I don't think they were really too worried about bringing Aaron up, because they knew he was going to be a phenomenal quarterback.
Well, I mean, Chris Law, look this up for me. It was a Thursday night after Thanksgiving in Dallas.
Oh yeah,
remember that game?
Oh yeah.
Okay, it was. I think the Cowboys and Packers. It was something like 10-1 against 10-1. Or I'd love to. I don't recall.
In 06?
I think it was 07.
It was
Was it 07? Right.
07.
Give me the exact date. It was the Thursday after Thanksgiving. We were there on Thursday Night Football, and Favre against Romo, and we were just hyping the ever-loving you-know-what out of that.
Yep.
Favre gets hurt.
Yep.
Quarter two, and everybody was thinking, we're looking at each other going, well, that's a wrap.
Yeah, it's over.
And then Aaron Rodgers came out, and we were all looking at each other, Dion, Marshall, me, Mooch, we're like, whoa.
Yeah.
This guy can play football.
Yeah.
We were blown away. And you'd already seen that in practice, what you're saying?
We're on the sideline, and, of course, we don't know he's going to bring us back to almost win the game. But we know what we got. I mean, we've seen this guy every day in practice, and he is unbelievable. And so when Brett Favre goes down, there's no panic. I mean, nobody's saying, to put Aaron in.
We were.
No, we're like, hey.
I mean, I'll be honest, we were.
Well, we were like, great. I mean, it's time for everybody to see what this kid can do, what we've been seeing in practice every day.
How many reps could he get, though, in practice with Favre?
Well, he's throwing us. He's going against the one defense. Mm-hmm. So he's throwing for the look squad.
So you're taking full credit.
Oh, hey, man. Hey, I fine-tuned him. Don't get me wrong.
That diamond needed to be honed.
Yeah.
So the game was week 13 of the 2007 season, November 29th. Green Bay 27, Dallas 37.
Yeah, 37-27.
He had 201 yards passing and a touchdown.
He was really good.
There was also a lot of hype going into that. Because
what were the records going into that?
It was the Romo Favre comparison too.
It was, and they both, and I think they were both had you both had the best records in the NFC at that time. We were really fired up to have that game. There's only our second season of Thursday Night Football. Right. I remember being there, in old Texas Stadium. It was really great. I don't think Irvin was part of our team yet.
No, in Irving.
Oh, in Irving,
Texas,
I remember that. But so when Aaron, though, you saw that and you knew that, and then there was this awful, long, drawn-out, dramatic transition. Was the locker room some Favre, some Rodgers? Was that going on at all?
I think there probably was a little bit. I mean, Favre had been there, with some of those guys, for a few years, and they had relationships with them. So I'm sure there were some guys that were loyal to,
sure,
Brett Favre. But, I mean, it was hard not to like Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it was just hard not to. He's a great guy. And then you seen the way he worked in practice. You seen the throws he could make. He could move around the pocket. And he continued to grow, those couple of years playing behind Brett Favre. And then once he stepped on the field and he was the guy, I mean, all that was over. It
was over.
Yeah.
What about now? Because clearly he's the $100 billion man now.
Yeah.
And
I'm looking for a job, by the way.
There you go. I mean,
put me on your payroll.
That wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
But
him or Clay.
He's got him and Clay. Clay's locked up too.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Packers' chances this season and moving forward? I'll put your paparazzi hat on for the moment.
Well,
what do you think?
They're always going to have a chance with 12 back there. That's what I feel. The key for him will be protection. Keeping him up. I mean, I think he had over 50 sacks last year, and don't quote me on that, but I think.
Sure.
which is a lot of sacks, which is amazing for a guy like him to have so many sacks but still be so accurate, still not throw a whole bunch of interceptions, throw for as many yards as he throws for, touchdowns as he throws for. So it'll be important to protect him, keep him upright. And then you gotta get somebody that's comparable to Clay on the other side, or have a guy that's comparable to Cullen Jenkins, which we had when we won the Super Bowl, that can get pressure up the middle, take some of the pressure off of Clay, and allow him to have as many one-on-one blocks as possible. And if they can do that, then they have a chance as good as anybody.
Well, you're going to hear this, too, that Rodgers, again, after what Kaepernick did in that game, which turned out to be your last game in Green Bay, or at least being with the organization there, people are going to start to wonder if he's even the best quarterback in his conference. I mean, that talk's going to come.
If who's the best
Aaron Rodgers. Seriously, that's coming.
And which conference?
In the National Football Conference. You're looking at me like
is
I'm
that
crazy.
a question?
No,
was that question raised?
Well, you know what? I think it's going to come because he lost a game to this young kid, and I think that I think in my way that there's no question that he's the best. But he hasn't won a Super Bowl. I'm not saying. See, that's, by the way, if you're going to go into the paparazzi, this is a great trick to employ. Right. I'm not saying.
You're not saying that.
I'm just saying.
You're taking yourself out of the equation.
It's sort of like the Jim Gray question. Like so many people think you blow and suck at your job.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. But what do you say to those people? That's
like they say.
They say it's an amorphous they.
They are always the smartest people.
Nameless.
I've been looking for those people.
But I'm reading about. I'm hearing. Like, hey, Rodgers. He lost to this young kid who looked great, doing sort of the thing that Aaron can do, throw out of the pocket and do all that sort of stuff. But I can see you do not agree with that, the way that your brow has been furrowed at me for the last 60 seconds.
Let me fix my brow and smile.
That's okay.
I do not.
Is he
the
the best quarterback in the game then?
I think he is.
Okay.
I think he is. But of course, I'm being biased, I guess.
Is Darrelle Revis the best cornerback in the game?
Aside from me?
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Nice.
Well, being that he was not in the game last year.
And still getting paid $11 million
due to
a year.
Injury,
yes, right.
Then I think at this point I'll go with Sherman.
Richard Sherman.
Yeah.
Why?
Until he shows me anything different.
Darrelle Revis.
Sherman.
Okay.
Sherman's the best right now. And he'll have to follow it up, of course. He had a unbelievable season last year. He had the interceptions to go with everything that he's done. He was the All-Pro corner, which says a lot about you.
Didn't he get snubbed though from the Pro Bowl until he was a replacement?
He got snubbed from the Pro Bowl, but he was the All-Pro corner.
Yeah,
which means a lot as well. But he'll have to follow it up again this year. And he played with a hell of a defense as well.
They have a great secondary overall, for sure.
They have a great secondary. But we'll see. We'll see what Revis does when he comes back, off of his injury, and see if he can get back to form. But it'll be interesting.
So then, outside of you like how I'm now setting this question up now?
Yeah.
Who's the best safety in the game?
The best safety in the game right now?
Who would you choose?
If I just had to pick,
please,
Ed Reed.
Yeah, Ed is.
And I mean, there's probably some other guys that can do some great things for sure. But if there's a guy I'm going to watch, there's only a few guys over the years that I say, look, I'll put down what I'm doing. I'm going to watch him. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers is a guy.
What about Peyton Manning? Did you throw him in that too?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah, no, I don't get me in trouble.
Well, Peyton did finish second to him in the Heisman voting.
That is correct.
We don't want to go there.
Yes, we do.
Do we?
Why not? Do we? Come on, go blue. Go blue.
Go blue.
Before we get him out
I know
here,
we got a couple more questions.
We need to know what Rich's street cred was at Michigan.
Oh no, I was already well gone. I was well gone by that.
But he goes back. What's the?
I'll tell you this. I didn't hear the legend of Rich though, so I don't know what that tells me.
That's because I didn't leave much of a footprint there, Joe. Not like you.
Okay.
Not like you. I wrote a column about a Rose Bowl. I didn't win one.
Got you.
You know what I mean? There's a different footprint that's being left.
Gotcha.
But now I'm you can't think of one without the other, right? That's sort of like that song, the two songs that they play during the fourth quarter of every Michigan home game. You can't have one without the other. They play these two songs back to back. Before I let you go, on the Michigan front, are you friends with Weber?
Yeah,
you know Chris.
I know Chris.
Are we gonna have? Are we getting back together? School and Chris, or is
the old,
can you tell me anything about this?
The old band should get back together
because now he's allowed to go back.
Yes.
He's allowed to go back. Dave Brandon, the AD, said, "I don't know him. I wasn't here when that happened. I'm here. I would love to talk with him." Do you think we're going to get this thing's going to finally be put to bed here?
I think it has to. I think what Chris Webber and the Fab Five, Jalen, Juwan, Ray, Jimmy, and those guys did. They created a culture, and Michigan was a beneficiary of that, and Chris Webber was a big part of it. And I don't, all that happened, why he was there and why he wasn't able to go back. I don't know all the details, but it's in the past now.
Right,
it's done. It's over.
But I keep hearing that he's a little angry. He's bitter. He's upset.
Well, both sides have to get over it, and so he has to get over it as well. I mean, because he's a Michigan. He's family.
There's no doubt.
Come on back.
Yeah, I agree with the same thing. And then before I let you go, I've got to mention your wine. Let's get this out here too, because you are a vintner, sir. Correct?
Yes,
you are
yes,
24.
24
Cabernet, right?
By Charles Woodson.
24 by Charles Woodson.
24 by Charles Woodson.
I have a bottle in my collection. It's not a vast collection.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like this massive cave.
You got it somewhere in a cool environment, roughly
58 degrees.
I like it.
58 degrees.
I like it.
Nothing upsets me more than when I go to a restaurant, order a great bottle of red wine, and it comes warm.
Warm.
No way. I won't go back. I won't go back. That's the truth.
Do you hold your pinky finger out?
Hey, listen.
While drinking said glass of wine?
Listen. I may sound like a snob.
That's how we drink our cognac, not the wine. The wine
Charles,
just
help me out here. I'm not doesn't come across like a snob. It comes across as evolved.
Evolved. Fair enough.
Evolved as a human being on the planet. Gotta have it. 58 degrees is
you got to.
Perfect.
You got to bring it out right.
Now, you were an intern at a vineyard? Is that how this come? How'd your love for growing juice come here?
Oakland's training camp is in Napa Valley.
Of course.
So every year I'm in the valley. I would, go to different restaurants in the valley, and I just watch people. And people were, swirling the wine and sniffing. I kind of was intrigued by it. Started drinking a little wine. Then I met a friend of mine, Rick, who runs the day-to-day operations of the company now. He worked for Robert Mondavi, so he worked.
I've heard of him.
You've heard of him,
friend? I call him Bob. Bob Mondavi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So he was working there at Mondavi. Worked there for about 10 years, and then me and him started drinking wine together. Started teaching me a little bit about it. In 2005, we officially, started our label, 24 Wines.
Put vines in the ground.
Vines in the ground.
And so you have your own piece up of acreage up there?
We have about 9 acres planted in Calistoga.
So how many cases are you churning out right now?
We're doing about 1,200 cases a year. So it's small production.
That's a
boutique
nice number.
wine.
That's a nice number.
High-end wine. Right, absolutely.
Is there a website that people could go to?
24wines.com.
And it's the 24 wines?
Spell it out.
Spell it out.
24wines.com.
24wines.com. And do you personally approve who gets to go on the wine list? Do you look at these things, or is that Rick's job to make sure?
To make sure where my wine goes?
Yeah.
Because
people like
it's
wine list.
It's our job to try to place the wine. So for us, it's us. They have to choose us.
Sure,
that's how that works.
But if I want to get on the wine list, like the list when there's a new vintage that's out.
The wine club.
Oh, it's a wine club. That's what I mean.
There we go. Do you want to get in the wine club?
Wine club.
You talk to me.
I talk to you. You personally approve who gets into the wine club.
Rick will do it, but I'm talking to you in general.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean,
so
sure.
if you want to,
yes. Okay. As this is again another trick of the trade. If
Yeah.
you do want to go into the paparazzi at some point,
Yeah.
it's about you.
It's about
okay.
Gotcha.
Like this is my way of we'll get your wine out there and mention it. 24wines.com, spell it out.
Yep.
But really, this is all about me getting on the wine list.
Well, I mean,
it's very good.
We need another sponsor.
Gotcha.
Well, I don't know if the league, will. It's not. I mean, a wine sponsor. I don't know if there's. Okay, right. Okay, but that said, I give it a stamp of approval. It's very good. That's a great bottle of wine.
So you don't just have it in the cellar; you've tried it.
I've tried. Well, I was
Great,
at.
great.
Well, you provided some for Namdi's
I did.
event
That's right.
last
in
year,
LA, yeah.
which is where I tasted it for the
Gotcha.
first time.
Yep.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very, very good. And then I went ahead and acquired a bottle
Perfect.
out of my own pocket.
Yeah,
So if the bottom line was boosted a little bit, Charles,
Well,
if you notice
hey,
a little uptick.
You know, it'll cost you. It might cost you a little. It might cost you a lot, but it will cost you.
Charles Woodson, I want to see you on the field if that's what you want. And
Absolutely.
if not, I want to see whatever you want that you get. You are the best.
Appreciate that.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
One of the all-time greats out of the University of Michigan, a future Hall of Famer. I will say it. You don't have to. Charles Woodson.